But rather than await further charges, he does what they all do. He booked a flight back to Israel. Peace. Can't get me. Not on a boo-boo. No way to stop this. And of course, he's welcomed back because that's what they do. That's how this works. Israel and child sex predators, it's kind of a thing. It always has been.
So recently, Candace Owens dropped the hammer on Israel, America's greatest ally in the Middle East, for protecting sexual predators, including in one case recently where a ranking official within Netanyahu's government was caught in a sting in Las Vegas for soliciting children for sex, went over to Israel, wasn't extradited, no prevention by the United States of keeping him here to face charges. So let's get her take on this. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel.
About a week ago, it was reported that the police in Las Vegas put together a sting operation. Now, these sting operations all work the same. Usually they are online, police officers posing as children, pretending that to see if there are adults that are trying to solicit sex from children on the web. So they pretend that they're underage, that they're minors. And every time that they do this, everywhere, of course, they find sickos. There are always people that are looking for children, which is so sad that we live in this world. And this time they caught and subsequently arrested a total of 8 perverts who were interested in luring minors on the web. And it turned out that one of those individuals was an Israeli who happened to be in town for a conference. And he just couldn't, as soon as he got in town for the conference, he starts looking on the web for a child. And that individual's name is Tom Artyom Alexandrovic. He has since deleted his LinkedIn profile. He's 39 years old. And of all things, you're not going to believe me. You're like, what does this guy do for a living? Well, he's a senior cyber official who works under Bibi Netanyahu's government. I'm not kidding. He is the division head at the National Cyber Directorate, which operates under Bibi's office. So this guy gets arrested. They book him at the Henderson Detention Center, and he makes bail. It was $10,000 of bail. But rather than await further charges, he does what they all do. He booked a flight back to Israel. Peace. Can't get me. Not on a boo-boo. No way to stop this. And of course, he's welcomed back because that's what they do. Like, that's like a policy.
Yeah, just think of how absurd that is. The fact that Israel, America's greatest ally, right? That's what they say. Our greatest ally in the Middle East, you know, a booming democracy in the midst of all these totalitarian systems. They won't even extradite predators back to the United States. And the United States won't try to stop him from getting back to Israel. And this is the country we're supposed to be bound to. Our foreign policy is supposed to be tied to. We're supposed to fund this country's genocide. We're supposed to shelve our own foreign policy interests as they pertain to Iran for the benefit of Netanyahu's regime change wars, for the greater Israel project. They won't extradite sex predators. And it's not just ranking officials in Israel's government. A lot of Americans have actually escaped to Israel and cited what's known as the law of return. This is a law that allows Jewish individuals, regardless of where they come from, including the United States this pertains to invoke Jewish citizenship on the basis that they have at least one Jewish grandparent. That's the only litmus test. And once you invoke that, they will protect you regardless of how heinous the sexual crimes are. This was talked about recently on Tucker's show by Daryl Cooper, but it's a reality. And this is being reported in mainstream news media, at least it was in years past, including by CBS in 2020. A study showed that about 60 predators, child predators, have gone to Israel, cited this law, and now receive legal immunity to be sent back to the United States to face charges. This is a serious issue. And in this case, it's a high-ranking Israeli official in the government. And they're protecting this guy. Just imagine that. And we're just supposed to look the other way. Very few people are covering this outside of the independent media.
Something to a child in America, just get up, pack up, and go to Israel. He hasn't even lost his job. The cyber director instead issued a public statement saying that, yeah, Tom was detained while he was in the U.S. for matters that were unrelated to his work, and that we'll agree to put him on leave temporarily until we get this matter clarified or whatever.
Paid leave, probably. This is so absurd. Imagine that reaction if you're an ally. This is just beyond maddening, frustrating, and that's probably putting it lightly.
They don't really sound particularly outraged, and we can, of course, assume he ain't coming back, okay? That's how this works. Israel and child sex predators, It's kind of a thing. It always has been. Hence, Epstein. Oh no, I can't believe I said that. I'm sorry. The Department of Justice has no idea if Epstein has ties to any other nations. They don't know. So how could we know if our Department of Justice doesn't know?
Yeah, how can we know without a cursory 5-minute examination of that subject and information that's readily available to the public, let alone the DOJ and FBI? I mean, look, this is crazy, and it's ironic that she intertwined this with the Epstein story because Epstein himself looked to have been someone that was trying to invoke or set up the invocation of the return law, the law of return that you can cite to get away from child molestation charges in the United States. And how can I say that? Well, after Epstein's first arrest for child molestation charges, in which there were 40 plus witnesses against him down in West Palm Beach, he had that sweetheart deal. But before he got that sweetheart deal, he had actually agreed to be, he was convicted. But before it came time to lay out the precepts of that sweetheart deal, he had fled to Israel. He was moving his assets to Israel. He took a lot of his property to Israel. He was kind of setting up shop in Israel, it looked to be, to set up invocation of Israeli citizenship under the return law, the law of return, such that he wouldn't be extradited back to the United States. Now, we know he eventually did take that sweetheart deal, which was absurd. It really kind of demonstrates that he did have ties to the intelligence community when you had, not even the DA, but the head of the DA's office saying that, I was told that Epstein was intelligence and to lay off him, he got 6-day work release program where he got out of the prison for 12 hours a day, 6 days out of the week. He could move between his own properties. He had a branch of the sheriff's department carved out for him. He had gone to Israel before that to essentially evade justice, and he probably would have evaded justice had he not agreed to that sweetheart deal. And a lot of people of prominence met him after that sweetheart deal. But again, this is just emblematic of the protections that Israel provides. It's not a country that isn't a supposed ally of the United States that gives these protections. It's Israel, the United States ally, according to all the Zionists and neocons, that's doing this. You would expect if this was a real relationship and they truly were the ally of the United States, you could flex your weight a little bit, I think, if you are a U.S. president or a U.S. official saying, hey, we're just going to cut off the aid that we gave you to the tune of $20 billion last year unless you extradite child predators. I mean, you'd think that's low-hanging fruit for any alliance, let alone an alliance of the type that the U.S. and Israel has, and Israel enjoys. I mean, there's nothing that U.S. citizens enjoy about it. It's just because of the entrenched Israel lobby and the military-industrial complex that such close ties have been maintained, and they have been maintained for many years. The Trump administration is pretty much the epitome, but it's not just limited to Trump. So that's where we're at. I'm glad that Candace covered this story because, again, so many people haven't covered the Sting story and its relation to the law of return, its relation to Epstein. But this is a legitimate issue that needs more discussion. It needs to come to light. But I do want to hear what you guys have to say. Let me know down below. Are you surprised to hear about this story? Have you been tracking this? Why is no one else talking about this? Even a lot of people in the independent media. Let me know in the comments below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Also subscribe to Candace. I appreciate this segment of her show. And please consider becoming a member by clicking the join button below. You can help support the channel. And as a gracious thanks to you, I'll give you access to all of my members only videos before they go live to the general public on YouTube. And until I see you guys next time, no more war, no more debt, no more inflation, and no more empire. Peace out, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.